And now, our feature presentation.
The best
in the world
is right here, right now.
Whether you like it or don't like it, pal, learn to love it.
Ladies and gentlemen,
welcome. All right, listen up.
Now it's our time to step forward. It's time to bring the NWA back into the spotlight.
I was thinking that it might be a good idea if you and I formed an alliance.
Let's get ready to rumble!
Attention, everyone. Welcome to the greatest wrestling program in the world.
Ladies and gentlemen, can I please have your attention? Stop what you're doing and listen.
It's the Alliance Guys podcast with your hosts Kevin, Frazier, DKM, and JCap.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Alliance Guys podcast, the only podcast on record to interview Alexander Hammerstone about his time in West Coast Pro Wrestling, MLW, Primetime Live. But of course, it's also the only podcast to feature this handsome man right here, right next to me, and that would be the one, the only Devin K. Mercer. And we have the former NWA World Junior Heavyweight Champion, Kevin Frazier. Gentlemen, welcome to the podcast that almost didn't happen. How are you guys doing today?
Didn't we
DK? Sure did. I am really excited tonight. As we spoke a little bit off the air, I felt like this was probably the best United Wrestling Network show I've seen to date. So I can't wait to jump right into it and just get right to it.
I mean, let's first and foremost, we have to say, we have a new NWA Women's Champion, something that I didn't see coming. D-Cam, did you see this one coming? I mean, what happened?
I have no earthly idea. I did not see it coming. The only thing I could think of to compare how this feels is, back in the old days before there was internet and national TV and all that stuff, if the NWA world title changed hands, it would get announced somewhere between the next week and the next, 3 months on whatever promotion's local television. And I kind of feel like I'm, like some of them must have felt when they heard, oh, Ric Flair defeated Dusty Rhodes for the world title, and they're going, who's Ric Flair?
Yeah.
You're just kind of shocked. Who won it and what? And I wasn't expecting that, and I just wasn't expecting it.
Well, and what about the aftermath or the repercussions of all the rumors swirling? I know me and you guys, we were all shooting around texts and messages just because I just did not see that coming. So anyways, Jay, before we start delving into this, I'm sure you've got some itinerary over there. You've got a show lined up for us. Man, where are we going? What are we doing?
That itinerary went out the window. First and foremost, we got to talk about this. We'll get to the matches.
Let's talk about it.
We'll get to the matches, but I think it's pretty crazy to this day and age. First of all, when wrestling secrets are never kept, all the news always breaks, and you hear people talking about where Thunder Rosa is going to go. You hear people saying that she's maybe WWE bound, maybe she's signing a contract with AEW. Last night, the NWA president William Patrick Corgan was on Instagram and indicated that Thunder Rosa has a contract through 2021. So yeah. I don't think Thunder Rosa is going anywhere, and I think this is a pretty big deal that a NWA champion lost her title to an AEW contracted wrestler on the United Wrestling Network Primetime Live. And it just goes to show you, right, that the Primetime Live pay-per-view that comes on every week, Tuesday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 o'clock Pacific, anything can happen, because we just saw it Tuesday night, and I'm still reeling from it. I believe Thunder Rosa was on her, Thunder tour. She was just causing destruction everywhere she went. She had wins against Ivelisse, Lindsay Snow, Priscilla Kelly. She had matches scheduled for this weekend, and now that's all out the window. I was shocked.
DK?
Look, I'm stunned beyond stunned.
I've never seen this. What's going on here? Look at this guy.
The only thing, getting to some of the rumors and something like that, they always say there's a little bit of truth in all the rumors. And while I appreciate Billy Corgan pointing out the fact that the NWA has under contract until 2021 or through 2021 or however it was stated, let's be honest, if WWE has interest in her, you're not going to be an asshat and say no.
Right. No, you're right. No, and I find that funny.
No, I'm not going to let you go. You have to stay here and work for me at my price because you signed a contract.
No, you're right. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely, and you know what kind of person would whoever decided to do something or tried to pull something like that, what kind of person would they be? Because ultimately, whatever they're paying her at the NWA, it's not going to be what they're going to pay her at WWE, or why would she even be going there?
Right.
But
so,
for me to speculate, to go a little further, I hope I'm wrong that there might be a collaboration coming up between the NWA and AEW, and I just don't want to see that. I know that sounds horrible, but I want NWA to stop being part of other people's brand and staying on their own, in their own brand, on their own show. They've got enough. NWA Power showed us that they can do that. So I hope we don't see that. I would like to see the NWA stay on its own, be its own brand. I don't want to see another TNA or even WWE in the late 90s, 98 or whatever, 99. I don't want to see that. I want to see the NWA stay on its own. Even on the United Wrestling Network, as much as I like it, I still feel like the NWA needs its own platform for it to truly be taken seriously as the brand that it really can be and really actually is.
And I 100% agree with that sentiment. 100%. You know, you get a lot of people who are saying, and I don't know if they're trying to talk for Corgan and the NWA or if it's just their own opinion, but you get some of these people are saying that, hey, NWA Power would be garbage without an audience. And okay, but they need to produce something. There's got to be some sort of showcase that presents these NWA wrestlers and their titles, and it needs to be produced by the NWA. And I'm with you, Kev. I love seeing our NWA champions coming to Primetime Live and defending their titles. And I don't even hate the idea that they're working with AEW, but at the end of the day, if it's not Power, if it's not Crockett Cup 2020, there needs to be an NWA show where they're producing original, new wrestling content, not Carneyland. No. Mm-hmm. Not more clip shows, not more best ofs, not more in-depth interviews or looks at past rivalries. I need more content from the NWA that is centered about two opponents in the ring wrestling. And so far, it's been 9 months. Where's the pivot? Where's the chance? Where's the opportunity? If you're not going to give us NWA Power, maybe NWA Power is too cost prohibitive to produce without an audience, then give us something different. Give us something else. But at this point, the shame on the NWA, honestly, for not being able to pivot after 9 months. It's time for them to do something.
Right.
Look, there's depending on what you listen to, there's a lot going on. Maybe some turmoil behind the scenes since Logano left. And it's just, but you need to do something. People who say Power without an audience is garbage, either don't understand things or they they just don't understand at all. Look, Jay and I have had this conversation offline. I'm not a big fan of gimmicky matches of any type, and I'd like them to be more specialized. And so one of the things I've never particularly cared for is pure wrestling style of ROH, where they kind of got a little bit of different rules and everything. But I've been watching the TV, the tournament, and I've actually enjoyed it. And it's really the perfect type of thing for an empty arena. Because there are no fans there. They very They do an excellent job of explaining what the tournament is, what the rules are. There's some psychology involved because one of the rules is you're only allowed 3 rope breaks.
Wow.
So
Okay.
after you use up all your rope breaks, if you get in the ropes, it can't stop a pin, it can't stop a submission. And we've seen it come to play a couple times in the tournament. And you could put on. This is the time that you kind of do away with some of the storyline garbage. It's not a good time to have sneak attacks. It's not a good time to, have interference. But it's a good time to put on some damn good wrestling matches.
Well, I want to jump in real quick and agree and kind of head scratch a little bit and go, isn't all wrestling right now going without really an audience?
I mean,
so I'm just not buying that, man. That's just an excuse. I'm not letting that be a reason. I'm almost discounting that because the show must go on. I don't even want to talk about Power would be trash without an audience. Just move on. Next excuse.
Right. And I think, again, it's been 9 months. It's time to do that pivot. We know that they're capable of switching it up. It costs time, effort, and energy. Primetime Live is somehow able to find an arena that looks great, has it filled with top-level wrestlers from around the country. There's no audience for that. So you can't tell me that the NWA couldn't do something similar. Hell, it doesn't have to even look as pretty as the Thunder Studios. I mean, you could literally... School of Morton, we've talked about this lots of times. School of Morton in Tennessee. You could go to Mission Pro and maybe work out an agreement with Thunder Rosa where they tape matches at that venue the next day or the day before, or maybe even in the same day. It's just, I'm kind of tired of the excuses. I'm kind of tired of the lack of action. And this might catch heat with some of my NWA fam, but this is the time, 9 months, and there's been nothing. Now, we're going to get a world championship match, but even Nick Aldis, the title's basically laying dormant. And we can't celebrate his 1,000 days as NWA world champion when, the last 120 days he's been sitting on his butt. And, that's just what it is. I can't positively spin that. And you're talking to a guy who had to put the positive spin on Bruce Tharp taking over the NWA. You're talking to a guy who had to put the positive spin on why Adam Pearce losing the NWA world title was a good thing. We're talking to a guy that had to try to put a positive spin on the Sheik becoming the NWA world champion. And I'm telling you, when MLW is going back to work, when Ring of Honor is going back to work, and Championship Wrestling from Hollywood is going back to work, there's no GD reason that the NWA can't get back to work. So,
if you go to Texas, you can have an audience.
Yeah.
We've said it, so I think we beat this to a dead horse. I want to talk about the show because all this NWA talk is great, but we're covering the United Wrestling Network as well tonight, and they put on a heck of a show.
Thank you, Kevin. Yeah, we did kind of beat that horse. If you guys want to hear more about that, listen to the podcast later, because now we're going to focus on the United Wrestling Network presents its 7th episode of Primetime Live. And I was jacked up about this show. I was so excited because we got to see, number one, we got to see the return of pretty Peter Avalon. And I know he might not be a draw in AEW, but long-term Championship Wrestling from Hollywood fans know what a central figure he was to the growth of the brand. You're talking about a guy who was on the very first episode. We had Rosas defending the Hollywood Heritage Championship, a title that has yet to be defended on the Primetime Live. In fact, Rosas was supposed to be on episode number 2 and got scratched for whatever reason, and he finally now made his appearance. We got Kevin Martinson back. We got Bodega back. It was a really fun show, really exciting show. And Kevin, you and I were talking offline. This was a show that felt like they did everything right. Do you want to elaborate on that?
Well, it's just every show has had some points where you kind of scratch your head. Every show has had matches that had a little bit of botchiness to them. Just, again, it wasn't a perfect show. It wasn't the greatest wrestling show I've ever seen, but it was the best all-out overall production. I felt like the promos were good. I mean, the Bodega cut a heck of a promo. The Big Money Brothers cut a great promo. I liked Chris Dickinson's promo. I like Avalon's promo. I liked Ray. I mean, I'm just sitting here going like, I just felt like as a whole, the promos were good, the matches were solid, and as it's going all along, the wrestler. I've booked shows before. I've promoted shows. I've wrestled on shows. I've hosted shows. I've announced. I've sang the national anthem at a wrestling show too. And I'm saying I've been a part of every kind of aspect of a wrestling show, helped with television and production. And one of the things, as the show's going along, this is credit to Dave Marquez, that I go, why is this the opening match? Oh, that was a good opening match. Why is the women's title match here? Oh, that was still a good match. It was here, but man, the next match better live up to it. And I thought this was the best main event they've put on. So far, thus far, it was, and again, I will be the first to criticize Peter Avalon being a main event guy. I mean, again, I'm a smaller guy too, so if I can take the criticism, he should be able to as well. Initially, your first look is like, I don't know, but this was a thinking man's wrestling match. Peter Avalon did everything he should have done, given his stature, to make the match make sense. And it lived up to being a main event match, and it was the best match of the card. So in the end, I'm like, well, okay, how do you question something that worked? And so, again, I felt like the flow of the show was great. Just all in all, it had very few weak points. And then, of course, we had the big title change that's probably rocked a big part of the wrestling world.
No doubt about it. No doubt about it. So the show kicks off with the Hollywood Heritage Championship match. Two guys who I have a ton of respect for in Ray Rosas and Kevin Martinson. Two guys that, Kev, I believe you've been in the ring with a couple of times. This was Martinson's first shot at challenging for the Hollywood Heritage Championship in 14 years of being in Championship Wrestling from Hollywood at Dave Marquez Studios. So I really think that says a lot about maybe how much he's been underutilized as a singles wrestler. Then you've got Ray Rosas, who's basically held every single championship sans the United Wrestling Network World Tag Titles. And I honestly thought this match could have gone either way. Ray Rosas is very conniving in the ring. He's sneaky. Kevin Martinson, there's like no wasted motion. It seems like everything he does has a purpose when he's in that ring. I mean, there's no, like I said, everything's really fluid. Both of these guys are very fluid. And I honestly thought that we were going to see a new Hollywood Heritage champion. We didn't see one. DK, what did you think about this match? Tell us your thoughts on Martinson versus Rosas.
Well, Kevin, I was a little surprised it was first, but it was actually a very good opener. I liked the match. I think it did the right thing to kind of get the crowd, as far as the TV audience, or into it. That, it had some exciting moments. Both guys are good professionals. They know what they're doing. They know how to work a match. I enjoyed it. No complaints. It
really delivered.
Yeah, and I will say there were only 4 matches on this show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it worked well because they had the time they needed to tell the story in the ring.
Right.
And that's a lost art in wrestling today. So it set a good tone for the show, and it was enjoyable to watch.
Jay.
Yeah.
I mean, right? I mean, it's like sometimes it's so funny because it's so easy to criticize bad matches, but then you get a good match and it's like, it was great. It was hard hitting. It was technical. Guys worked the cameras. You could tell there's a little bit of physicalness to the match. It had a little more physicality than normal, so you could tell there was some history. And like Devin said, they had an opportunity to tell that story in the match. And this is not a negative, but Kevin Martinson has been at the top of the tag team division in California for 10 years?
At least, yeah.
Right? I mean, yeah, right. So I don't feel bad for him that he hasn't gotten a lot of singles opportunities, because that's just what being a great tag wrestler is this is your division, and those guys own that division. And I'm glad to see him break away now. I think getting this opportunity, showing that he can do it. I think what Martinson really needs, he's got a personality. I just think, kind of like what we talked to with Hammerstone last night, he's got to have that moment where he has a certain character transformation that kind of elevates him past the person we knew him as into something that is a little bit more than what he is right now. And I think he's in that transitional phase. The one thing I do know about him is he's a very eclectic, very creative, and a unique guy, and he's hardworking. So I think you're going to see it happen, and I think it's going to be fun to watch this. Hopefully they don't put him back into the tag division if he's going to be a singles wrestler. And I like to see him. I want to see this develop, because this is what I love about wrestling, is characters and stories. All in all, man, those guys, Kevin Martinson puts his body through. I mean, he's been wrestling a long time, and he's out there, getting slammed on the concrete, falling on the stage, just giving it all he's got. So there's something inside of him that is showing you through his effort that he really wants. He wants it bad, and he feels like this is the time. So I can't wait to watch him grow. I think he's going to be one of those unsung hero guys when we have this conversation a year from now.
Yeah, I agree with you. I want to try to keep on pace, but we talked about who we thought the future of the show would be last week. We're talking about guys like Chris Dickinson, Carl Fredericks. We mentioned Danny Limelight. I think 100%. If people aren't talking about Kevin Martinson today, BHK, I think 1 year from now they're gonna be. And I think he's gonna. You're right. He doesn't belong in tag teams anymore. Now it's his time to shine as a singles wrestler, and I really think you're gonna see the exodus, the evolution, if you will, the growth, the genesis of a new BHK, new Kevin Martinson. And I think he's going to be champion somewhere, somehow in the lineup. I don't know if it's going to be the Hollywood Heritage Champion. I don't know if it's going to be the TV Champion. Hell, he might even win the World Championship. That's how good he is, and I'm excited for what's next for BHK.
I'm excited also to see the change, because that Kevin was talking about, and I think one of the things is, as he becomes truer to himself, which again was kind of covered yesterday with Hammerstone. You noticed when he basically started being himself and just tuned up a bit. And, look, there's a difference between stunning Steve Austin and Stone Cold Steve Austin. There's a difference between Rocky Maivia and Flex Lavender and The Rock. And I think we're reaching a point where there's going to be a difference. There's already a difference between Johnny Goodtime and Kevin Martinson, but I think we may be getting into a true personality, character change that says this is a serious singles wrestler, competitor, and like you said, Jay, this is a guy that's going to be getting a title somewhere.
Right. And have a chance at it for sure.
Right.
So, bumping on to the next part of the show, we have an interruption, if you will. The former Mongrovian third-degree national world heavyweight Mongrovian champion, the shooter Aaron Stevens, joins the broadcasting booth. A very uncomfortable situation. Todd Kennelly was caught off guard. Over there's Blake Troop, an MMA fighter who could legitimately just I don't know, choke this guy out, and he's over there smiling because he doesn't know what to say. You got the bastard son of Tony Schiavone sitting there in James Kincaid, and it was just kind of fun. Aaron Stevens talking about he got robbed and how the NWA is not returning his phone calls. I heard that happens quite a bit these days. And he said that he's going to bring back the Question Mark, who is currently in quarantine and unable to travel to the United States, and that he wants to challenge Eli Drake and James Storm to an NWA World Tag Team match. Now, this was really strange for multiple reasons. Number one, the United Wrestling Network has yet to acknowledge the tag team titles, the NWA tag team titles. When Eli Drake was in town, they didn't acknowledge him as a current or reigning NWA Tag Team Champion. When James Storm showed up unexpectedly, again, there was no acknowledgement of his time as a Tag Team Champion. Even further to confuse things, James Storm was just on Bound for Glory a couple weeks ago, wrestling in Impact. So his contract status is kind of up in the air. We don't really know what's going on. And then, of course, the Question Mark is still in Monrovia. So this was very weird, kind of. I mean, this is the storyline of the show. They're planting seeds, and maybe this will lead to a tag team match. Maybe it'll lead to the return of the Question Mark. Big Kev, what were your thoughts on this?
Honestly, I loved this segment of the show. I loved it. Aaron Stevens to me has been a guy that has truly won me over, even since the NWA Power.
Yeah.
Again, if you're gonna act the way he acts, you have to be able to go out there and actually fight. One of the reasons, a guy like Ric Flair could go out there and have these overstated proclamations was when you get in the ring and back them up.
Sure. And
good wrestlers that get out there and have these kind of, because Aaron Stevens has a heightened sense of importance to him. But if you're going to have that, you have to be able to wrestle. And I'm confident in Aaron Stevens' ability to go out there and wrestle, especially after what we've seen between him and Trevor Murdoch. And but we all know he's got a flair for the dramatic. I thought this was a good. I thought the uncomfortableness of it was fine because it was navigated well, and it went somewhere. We actually got somewhere. Like, we got to a point of, why is he out here? What's he talking about? What is this for? This is weird and awkward. He's out here to do A, B, C. He's out here to bring back up his partner, the Question Mark. He's out here to challenge, to say that he's here and he wants to make a statement, and that him and his partner are going to challenge, or want to challenge, for the NWA World Tag Team titles. Honestly, there was, again, another segment that did not leave a whole lot to be desired in the way it was done. Because, like you said, Jay, it was awkward at times. It was kind of funny. It was a little bit intimidating to some point. I mean, I couldn't tell who he was going to beat up, but I knew he was going to beat somebody up. I knew it was coming. And so I liked the segment. I thought whoever put that segment together, whether it was, hey Aaron, go out there and do that thing you do and end it after this long here, or if it was something that kind of had a little more tinkering involved, it was well done. However it got done, it was well done. Because, again, you have guys, and this is something you'll find when you go start doing booking and production, you have some guys you have to tell them everything, and then other guys, Adam Pearce, you say, start here, end here, and do that thing you do in between. And this is what we need to get out of that. And they have a masterful way of doing that. I'd be willing to bet Aaron Stevens is one of those guys, because there's no way anybody's writing those catchphrases that he seems to just churn out one after another, after another, after another.
No way.
Again, he's grown on me very much like DK's fungus statement that he makes. So, Devin, what'd you think of Aaron Stevens? I know you like him.
I like Aaron Stevens. I was a fan, still am. I did not love the segment as much as you did, but I admit it had its purpose. It met its purpose. if we are lucky, the question mark will be, stuck in Monrovia forever and ever and ever amen. And this will be the last time that we ever hear about him. Probably won't be that lucky, but if we're lucky, that'll happen. I was glad they brought up the tag team titles, since it has basically been ignored in the situation. I mean, James Storm has stated in interviews he is a free agent. I don't think he signed anywhere. I don't think he signed with Impact. I think he basically gets one-off deals wherever he goes. So certainly the NWA could, use him for a few one-offs to defend the title. Take care of the situation, so to speak. It wasn't a great segment, but it was a good segment. I could have done without him laying on the floor, but hey.
Stuff works for me.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty brilliant as he laid there, and he's like, "Hey, somebody get a stagehand. He needs help." That got me. I giggled at that one.
Do we want to address some of the stuff that people are saying in the chat room, because they've got some gold sitting in here?
Woodland Goblin is bringing fire tonight, and definitely. First, let's go with what All Japan Stan said. My good friend Stan. I met Stan in Nashville for the NWA 70th anniversary show. Appreciate his friendship, and he's always cool to come by and check us out from time to time. And he says, I don't blame Thunder Rosa for leaving as soon as her NWA contract is over. Her dropping the titles was the worst decision ever. I mean, look, I can't tell you why Billy Corgan does what Billy Corgan does. And if this leads to a rubber match like Todd Kennelly was suggesting, that maybe these two meet up again, maybe AEW's Full Gear, maybe at the debut of NWA Power, I'm not sure, but Thunder Rosa was literally the standard bearer for the NWA. I think there's no question about it. None. So, what was that, DK?
So let things play out.
Yeah.
Yeah. I agree.
That's my take too, because you know what? Serena Deeb isn't a bad wrestler. I mean, she showed that she's had two really good matches with Thunder Rosa, one on AEW, one on the NWA or Primetime Live, I should say. It's not like she's garbage. This wasn't a garbage match. It was a really good match. It was probably one of the best. Woodland Goblins is talking about the lack of endurance for Nick Aldis, and said that he should perhaps challenge for the television title because he would only need to go about 5 minutes. And
brutal.
Kev, you're a fitness guy. I've got no place to talk about endurance. I'm a good 3 minutes and done. So why don't you tell us about this? Tell us about endurance and what it means to wrestling.
Well, I think because I had a weekend in Arkansas when, I guess it's probably 2007, 2008, where my opponent and I, we did 30-minute Broadways three nights in a row. And, the goal was it was just part of our goal. We were given 45-minute segments in each show. And and we had the crowd the whole time. And the biggest secret to having a good long match, number one, is telling a story. You have to have something to tell. And if you work the leg the whole time, it's boring. So for all of you wrestlers out there, don't work the leg for 30 minutes, for God's sakes. Just spare us as fans. But and then pacing, the way you pace yourself in the match has a lot to do with it. I think the shape that you're in is less important to have, let's say, a long match as the way that you pace yourself. When I used to train amateur wrestlers, I used to always tell them, I said, guys, you have to take your time. And you hear that, you hear something like that in it, and it almost kind of loses its meaning because you hear it so much. And I would say, guys, you have to take, like physically take your time. Meaning that if your pace is this pace, you have to impose that pace onto the person that you're wrestling, or you'll get tired faster than they will. Don't allow them to impose their timing onto you. Pro wrestling is the same. Because, see, for me, when I would wrestle a guy, say, like Masada, who, if I tried to go toe-to-toe with this guy, he's going to knock me out 1,000 times over. I'm not going to be able to hit him with a kendo stick. I don't even know if he bleeds because his skin is like 3 inches thick. But if I wrestled him, moved the pace of the match faster than he was comfortable to go, all of a sudden I had the advantage. And so, again, this happens in pro wrestling too. I mean, when you were going to wrestle a guy like me who could wrestle 30 minutes, you know, if you couldn't go more than 15 minutes without dying, you were going to die, and I was going to have my way with you for at least 10 minutes. Because one of my booking priorities, unless I'm working with, say, Dave Marquez, is, hey, I need 20 to 25, 30 minutes of a segment of your show. If not, there's really no point in bringing me in because you're just not going to get your value. And I'm not going to get the value out of it. So, again, I think a lot of it has to do – Nick Aldis is a great wrestler. He knows how to tell a great story in the ring. I just think right now Nick Aldis is taking the brunt of all the heat for what the back office is doing wrong with the NWA right now. And that's what you get for being the banner carrier of the company. But, I don't have anything bad to say about Nick Aldis' matches because he pretty much swerves me 2 out of 3 times, and it never hurts my feelings. I think he does it well.
That's fair. So, if we go back to the topic at hand, unless you guys have anything more you want to add, let's get back to the matches. Sorry, I was back in the AOL, I almost said AOL chat room. Good Lord, what century is this?
Old school.
Yeah, next up is the Real Money Brothers, Get Money, versus the Bodega. And I think I'm not alone here in saying that the Bodega is probably my favorite tag team that's on United Wrestling Network's Primetime Live. I love the Wolf Zaddies. I love the Tribe. There's something about the Bodega that works for me. Pablo Esco, the one-man lucha gang. You've got Danny Limelight, who this is the year of the spider as far as I'm concerned. These guys, I mean, they do a terrific job of... They've only been together as a tag team for about like 2 or 3 months. But they're wrestling like veterans, like a long-standing tag team. And when they're in a match with the Real Money Brothers, Clutch and Big Shug, I mean, they split the ring in half. There's fast tags. There's tag team moves. There's a lot of chemistry in such a short amount of time. And, honestly, I felt like they were just the better tag team in this match. I felt like they were doing a better job, but like I said, of cutting that ring in half. Making those hot tags, getting the fresh man in. And even when Danny was taking a beating, I felt like it was the old Rock and Roll Express. Sorry, I had to bring it up. But, you were just waiting for that hot babyface tag to get in big Pablo Esco, the King Fat Boy. And things were going to happen. Kev, what did you think of this match?
Well, for one, I'm always going to be a little partial when I like a team or a wrestler. So I'm going to be partial to Danny Limelight and Pablo Esco. Number one, the dynamic of the team. I love the having the dynamic of a big man and a small man. We just talked about endurance. The small man can do a lot of the work in the ring as far as wearing the other guys down. Because again, think of it like a healthometer. As both guys on the other team are in there continuously. You have Pablo Esco on the outside ready to come in and make an impact. So I really like the dynamic of their team. I felt like the finish, they need to just it's a great finish. Slow down. Just slow down so we can watch this thing. Again, you don't have a crowd. Take your time because it's a great finish. I thought this was the best showing of the Big Money Brothers.
Real Money Brothers.
Their promo... Real Money Brothers. I like their promo this time. I thought when they're in there with a team that's really actually a good team, they look a lot better. So I thought this was a strong showing on their behalf, but I was glad to see, the Bodega. They have a cool team name. They cut a great promo. They look good. Honestly, and again, I'm going to enjoy it when they're out there just because I have a kind of a liking for the team and the dynamic. So, I enjoyed it. Like I said, the only real criticism, I would say this was the only major kind of botchy thing that happened all night, It was just that they rushed the finish a little bit. It's such a good finish. Just take a deep breath, count to 2 or 3, and just slow it down, because it always happens a lot faster out there than you think is happening. DK?
Hey, this was a tag team match I truly enjoyed. Like you two, I'm extremely big fan of the Bodega. I'm hungry too. And a long time ago, I watched a YouTube video where Al Snow was doing a training session. He was talking about tag team wrestling. And he asked a question, which sounds very simple, but, so many people don't get it. He goes, what's the gimmick to a tag team match? What's the thing? What are you doing? It's the tag. All right? That's what makes the tag team match exciting. It's the tag.
Yeah.
These guys seem to have forgotten that.
Yeah.
They seem to have understood it.
Yep.
And look, I like both teams.
I do too.
And if I can be completely honest, I like both teams better than the current.
Oh, hey, don't get me started. I'll go off on how much better there are like 3 or 4 teams than the tag champs. Carry on, DK.
Get them started.
So, yeah. These are good teams. They get what wrestling is. It was a good match. It had, some good back and forth. They tagged at the right times. They did things the right way. Like Kevin said, the only thing was there at the ending. It got a little confusing or a little messed up. But hey, shit happens. And, immensely enjoyed this. Best tag team match they've had on Primetime Live. Best tag team match I've seen in a long time, including half of what I saw on NWA Power, and probably 90% of what I saw on NWA Power, and 100% of what I see on the 2 big promotions.
Wow, that's a big statement, DK.
Because they don't do tag team wrestling.
That's true. Yeah, it's two singles wrestlers wrestling in a tag match.
And even when they are a tag team, it's the gimmicky hop, jump, fly, have all 4 guys in the ring. Just this was Primetime Live gives us wrestling. Everybody out there who says, I want wrestling, I don't like that sports entertainment stuff, you need to be watching this.
Right. Come on.
If you're saying you need to be supporting this, yeah, we can be critical of things, or we might do things differently. So what? That's life. Monday morning quarterback is part of the football enjoyment. But if you like wrestling, why the hell aren't you watching this legally? Throw that out there real quick.
I want to piggyback on what you're saying, DK, because what we have seen as these shows have moved on is it does feel like, we've had a little bit of ups and downs, but as a whole, you're seeing as this production is learning its identity, the wrestlers are learning what this show is all about. This is why you have a show like this. And I'll tell you this, it's been probably since NXT and probably 2014 to 2016, maybe even into 17. It's been since then, since I've enjoyed a wrestling show like I enjoyed this one. So it's kind of bringing me back to that little bit of a wrestling renaissance for me that, like I said, I'd probably say my most favorite modern wrestling era has been that late 2014 to about 2018 of NXT. So, again, I think they're capturing a little bit of this here at the United Wrestling Network, but with more wrestling.
You are absolutely right. You're absolutely right. And I got a message here, and so let me try to do something real quick here. I'm gonna try to bring somebody on here. I've never done this before, so I don't know if this is gonna work. I'm gonna try.
Uh-oh.
Hey, what's up, Danny Limelight?
Hey!
My ear ringing, man.
Hey, can you guys hear this? You guys in the video, can you hear this?
Yeah.
Hey, yeah, man, we were just talking about, some of the best tag teams, and we're talking about, United Wrestling Network's Primetime Live, and how much we love King Fatboy and Danny Limelight, because you guys seem to be doing a lot of things right in the tag team division.
Oh, yeah, I appreciate that, man. We have one thing in mind right now, and that's obviously the tag team championship. So every time we step in that ring, we just trying to do our thing. You know what I'm saying? I'm hungry. Bobo Esco's starving. You know what I'm saying? And I heard my ear ringing. I decided to look at my notifications and see if you guys were talking about me. So I wanted to call in to show love, man. You feel me?
Well, I appreciate that, man. We're big Danny Limelight fans here at the Alliance blog, and of course Pablo. Excuse me. If I call him the wrong name, he's gonna kick my ass.
Go ahead. I'm gonna tell him you said that.
I'm gonna just say King Fatboy, because I don't want to get it wrong. We're big fans. You guys we appreciate what you guys do in the ring. I just want to say that Terry McDermott wants to see you guys fight the Tribe. I mean, I want to see you guys fight everybody.
Well, and you can tell him,
including Lio Rush,
you can tell him,
keep ducking and dodging.
I don't know if you guys heard that, but Lio Rush, the challenge was just made. Danny Limelight wants to step in the ring with him, so maybe we'll see that down the road.
Well, that's a match I would love to see.
I don't know if you can hear it, Danny, but my boy Kevin Douglas is Kevin Frazier, the former NWA World Junior Heavyweight Champion. Let me just say that one more time. The former NWA World Junior Heavyweight Champion wants to see a matchup putting Danny Limelight versus Lio Rush. I mean, I think that's a huge compliment right there, sir.
I appreciate the love. You know what I'm saying? I wish the NWA World Junior Heavyweight Championship was still around. You know what I'm saying? If there was, that's definitely something that I would want to get my hands on as well. But it's no longer around. Matter of fact, I'm pretty sure I pinned the last person to hold the championship in Lions Break Crown tournament. You know, so Lio Rush is coming to Primetime Live, man. He doesn't have an opponent, so I'm saying if people want to see it, I'm sure it's going to happen.
So, you guys, if you want to see that match, get out there and tweet it respectfully. Or tweet that to the United Wrestling Network. Tweet that to David Marquez. Make sure you tag the Alliance blog and, of course, Mr. Danny Limelight in that one. Hey, Danny, we're going to let you go, but I really appreciate you checking in with us, man. Much love to you.
Keep it up, guys. Keep your heads up. Keep grinding.
Thank you, sir. That was pretty badass.
Well, I mean, we have Hammerstone one night. We have Ricky Starks. We have Barrett Brown. Now, Danny Limelight calls in to talk to us because, guys, this is where it's at. It's not about quantity. It's about quality around here.
Man, he sent me a message as we're going here, and I'm like, man, if we could have pulled him up on video, we would have. He would have been on here, but we'll have to do that another time. I'll try to touch base with him on that. But that was cool. I appreciate that, Danny Limelight. And again, you guys make sure you're following him. And that's at Danny Limelight. I just want to make sure I got it right. Yeah, Danny Limelight, all one word. Give him a follow on Twitter because that was pretty cool. But let's get to the matches because I know we're starting to run a little bit late. We wanted to keep this to about 60 minutes, so we're going to just try the best we can to get through this. Hope you guys will bear with us real quick. Of course, next up we have the Chris Dickinson promo. Again, I think what more can be said about Dickinson? He's succinct, he's crisp, he's good on the mic, he's good in the ring. I mean, is there anything else you guys want to add to this?
I think we talked enough about Dickinson. I think I'm going to save what I have to say about him for the main event.
I just wanted to say this, though. When you step through the door, you take off your shoes and you pay some respect, or I'll kick your ass back out the door. I thought that was beautiful. I thought that was great. Each week, I'm going to try to do one person's promo, one line. That was my favorite from this week. Okay, next up, we get Serena Deeb challenging the NWA Women's World Championship. You all know the result. We've been talking about it, but this was a very good match. And what I liked about this match is that each opponent was focusing on something different. Serena Deeb was looking to get an edge. The whole match felt very much like it was Thunder Rosa's to lose, and that's what happened. There was a little bit of stuttering where Thunder Rosa did not take that opportunity to attack. When Serena Deeb was down, she was clutching her neck, and she made her pay for it. Of course, Thunder Rosa likes to say La Mira Mira, which means roughly in Spanish, I'm the best, simply the best. And for sure, her reign was one of the best reigns that I've seen in a long time. I really felt that she helped elevate not just the women's wrestling division in the NWA, but really women's wrestling in general. It really put a spotlight on the National Wrestling Alliance. I really felt like Thunder Rosa was the bright spot for NWA Power, and I really felt like she carried a lot of momentum to what Primetime Live was, what Mission Pro Wrestling is, and even brought some of that spotlight into AEW. I don't want to spend too much time talking about it because we were just talking about it, but Kev, do you have anything you want to add to this match?
Yeah, really, it was a solid wrestling match. And again, I've seen, and again, my standards for women wrestling, and I'll have to say this over and over again, my standard for women's wrestling is a lot higher. I'm not gonna let them get away with the excuse that, oh, they're women and because they're women they can't do X, Y, Z. I shared the ring with the greatest athlete I've ever met in my life, man or woman, Jazz. And she just sets a standard for what women are capable of that takes away all the stuff. And again, I've seen matches before where, I've seen women that were unathletic, sloppy in the ring. Maybe they looked good, but nothing that they did was believable, and that's unacceptable. It's just not acceptable. If it's not acceptable for men, it's not acceptable for women. And, we talked about a girl, Ryan. What was her last first name? Lacey Ryan, very believable in the ring. Thunder Rosa, very believable in the ring. And Serena Deeb, great shape, great ring savvy, great pacing, great timing. No one in this match looked like they were in over their head. Just as all in all, it was just a very, very solid wrestling match. And I would put this type of match up against any wrestling match between women that's happening out there. Of course, some matches between athletes of this caliber, maybe even a little better, may have a little bit better setup, may have a little more money behind what they're doing. But again, I feel like if you were to put these two women into a situation like that, you would see them rise to the challenge. The big thing to me was that, and I know there's a lot of criticism, but the response that we're giving this in its own right says to me that it's really that maybe they did do a good job here, because we're talking about it. If Thunder Rosa wins that match, we're still just kind of where we were 6 months ago. At least this point, it puts Thunder Rosa back in the position that she was in before, where we said she should be champion, when she's going to get her opportunity. I would love to see a rubber match. I don't think they said that on the air for no reason. And again, if this is just to create buzz and create attention and get people a little bit hot about it, I'm all for it. I really am. I mean, I'm all for it. So in a way, if this, like DK said, let this thing play out. If this ends well, I'm going to say that this was a great decision to go this direction. And Serena Deeb is as deserving as anybody I've watched lately.
DK, your thoughts, brother?
Hey, look. Last time Thunder Rosa was on, I asked the question, made the statement. She's the best damn wrestler in the business today. Not female wrestler. Huge fan. Absolutely love her. Absolutely adore her. I love surprise title changes. I do. I've never been as happy since the Wrestling World entered pay-per-view, and you basically knew when the titles were going to change hands and everything. Man, that was a beautiful thing to be in shock like that. That was a beautiful thing to be in history. You know, there comes a time when we need to be fans.
Right.
And there comes a time when we need to remember we don't know what's going on behind the scenes.
Yeah.
And we don't know everything. You know, there was some controversy under the last regime, I remember, when Santana Garrett lost the title to Amber O'Neal. And it's like, you know, a lot of people didn't know what was going on behind the scenes. A lot of people didn't know that Santana Garrett was originally only supposed to be a short-term champion. And so there were some agreements that they normally made with their champions that didn't get made. And, you know, that caused some problems. And, you know, I don't know what's going on. I don't know if she's going to WWE, AEW, if she's staying with the NWA, if she wants to take time off to focus on her promotion. You know, I don't know what's going on in her personal life. Don't worry about it. Be a fan. This was exciting.
Yeah, have fun. Have fun with this.
I mean, it was plain exciting. And, you know, I love to tell Kevin he's wrong, and so I'm going to tell him he's wrong here. This was the best match on the card. I did not believe how much I enjoyed it.
And
so Serena Deeb's like, you know, I don't know how old she is, and, you know, you don't ask a lady, so we're going to say a 10-plus year veteran of the sport. She knows what she's doing. She's trained in some places under some top wrestlers, top trainers. Give her a chance. Maybe she'll be champion 2 weeks. Maybe she'll be champion 2 years. But, you know, give her a chance to do. Give them a chance to tell the story. Let's see what happens. All I know is that I watched one of the best women's wrestling matches that's been on in a long time. And I've said I'll put Thunder Rosa against any female wrestler in any promotion. I think she's the best. And I'm willing to give Serena Deeb, I'd like to learn more about her, but I'm willing to give her the chance to prove that she can be the best. Well, let's enjoy the ride, people.
Well, let me say two more things to that before we go to the next match. Number one, Ric Flair didn't become a 16-time World Heavyweight Champion by never losing the belt. And sometimes greatness falls and sometimes greatness rises. And if it was to be, then it'll be. Thunder Rosa will get that title back. If it's meant to be. Secondly, you know, let's talk about this was the biggest secret in professional wrestling, because this match that she had last night on AEW was filmed about a week ago. So this title match that she had happened a week ago on AEW without any of us knowing about it. She defended the Burke in AEW without any of us knowing about it. And that might be one of the most clever things that the NWA has done thus far, because the title did change hands on Primetime Live on Tuesday night. And on Wednesday night, she defended the title on a TV taping from a week ago. And nothing got out. Nobody talked about it. Nobody mentioned it. Nobody said a word. So, I mean, I take my hats off to the AEW boys and those in the production and those working for that company, because they kept that secret tight-lipped. Like that wasn't on the sheets. Nobody was talking about that. So my hat's off to those guys, because whether you like the wrestling or not, to keep that secret, that's pretty good. I think that was really good. And Dave Scooby says that title change has people talking, and that's for 100% damn sure people are talking about it. But let's get to the next match, the final match, the main event. what I like to describe this as a generations match. I know we're not in New Japan Pro Wrestling, but you have the ace of the old versus the ace of the new. You had the guy who spearheaded what Championship Wrestling from Hollywood was, and now you've got the guy who's basically the driving force of Primetime Live, the evolution of what's hot in the United Wrestling Network. And surprised, first of all, that we even got this match to have Peter Avalon and another AEW wrestler appear on Primetime Live. But this was a hell of a match. And like I said, each match tonight, I just felt like it kept getting better and better. Or I should say not tonight, but Tuesday night. And this was another example of, where the one wrestler has this advantage, and then the other wrestler finds a moment of hesitation, finds an opportunity, and exploits it and goes to town on that opportunity. And Dickinson, even though he still kind of wrestles as a heel, really had some of that babyface momentum in this match. Was working. I thought he did a wonderful job working the injured knee. He would do the Northern Light suplex and bridge with the single leg. He would do the German suplex and bridge with just one leg. He went to go for the lariat and he stumbled and he couldn't keep continuing because his leg was injured. I thought this was a great match. D-Cam, what were your thoughts on this one?
I enjoyed it for what it was. Honestly, I'm not the biggest fan of either gentleman, but I thought it was a good match. I thought they did what they needed to do. I thought there was the right amount of professionalism in it. Kevin's gotten very blurry all of a sudden.
Yeah, Kev, you got blurry all of a sudden.
And I'm not going to love it the way Kevin did, but I will say for my overall feelings on the two men, it was a good match, and I enjoyed it. Kevin?
Am I still blurry?
Yeah.
Very.
Oh, it's probably my Wi-Fi doing its thing right now. So I don't know how to. Usually around this time of night, because again it's pretty late out here. I guess they do some kind of reset or something like that. So can you still hear me?
Yeah, you look a little bit better right now.
Okay, but if my sound's coming through, that'll, we'll live. I guess for me, when I saw this match as the main event. Honestly, it can be argued that, gosh, you could argue for 3 of the matches tonight that they were the best match on the card. I felt like you could argue for the tag match, the women's match, and you could argue for the main event. And again, it's all about what flavor of ice cream, I guess you would say, that you like. And what I wanted to see happen in this match was Peter Avalon prove to me. And again, this is not my feelings about Peter. I know he's a great wrestler. I know him personally, great guy. But I wanted him to prove to me that, number one, he was a main event. He belonged in the main event. He belonged in the title tournament. And that he could make this match believable against Chris Dickinson. Because when you're looking at it, my wife was watching the match with me. And again, she's not a wrestling connoisseur as we are. And she's like, is that guy even big enough to be a wrestler? And again, but this is stuff that we as wrestlers have to deal with, and as fans, these are the things that we lose touch with sometimes because we're so far in it. And I said, yeah, well, let's see. I said what I told her because that's what I wanted to see. I said, let's see if he can make me believe that he even belongs in the match with a guy the size of Dickinson. And I don't feel like Dickinson pulled any punches on him. I don't feel like Dickinson gave him a single thing. I think that Avalon showed toughness, going chop for chop, elbow for elbow with him. He stayed in there with him. He didn't physically dominate him, which makes the match look unbelievable. He used his brain, and he did a little swerve with the ref, got the knee caught in the turnbuckle, but not too early, so we didn't have to watch the knee the whole match. Got the chair, smacked him with the chair. It was done well. And again, that makes it believable. He used his brain. He's a thinking man's wrestler. He's a librarian. It all added up for me. And it carried the main event role very well. And again, it shows the importance of this title that they're putting into the stream. And to me, this was the point at which Dickinson became a legitimate, to me, in my eyes, not just the darling of the company. You know what I mean by that? The guy that they're just going to push no matter what, and you're just going to have to deal with it. But he elevated himself in this match to say, okay, he should be a guy in the conversation for this title. Is he my shoe-in for the title? No. I mean, you got Redbeard, you got Darth Watson here, you got Davey Boy Smith. I mean, you've got some big boys that are legitimately good, and he's going to have to prove it week in and week out. And like you said, Jay, I think he's somehow found his way into the babyface role, which is great storytelling. But again, we knew that Avalon was going to probably be a one-off, or I called that. But that's not the point. The point was that he came in, did something really well for Dickinson, but at the same time, I was very impressed with how Avalon really was a believable opponent for a guy the size of Dickinson who looks like he way outweighs him. But again, Avalon was tough. I really enjoyed watching the chops. He didn't back down at all. He didn't play that, like, I'm scared of you bad guy, which kind of gets on my nerves sometimes. He just played the I'm smarter than you. And he proved it. And Dickinson eventually just came out ahead through grit, determination, and being just that much better than Avalon on that night. So as a whole, what Devin said earlier is what this match actually personified or showed in action, is when you give good wrestlers enough time, they can tell a story in the ring with the match. And I thought this match did a great job of that. It won me over.
Let me add in one thing real quick, because I disagreed with Kevin earlier, and now I agree with him. I do believe that this was the type of match that was done in a way that, like Kevin said, made Avalon seem believable, made the match seem believable. I mean, look, Jay, I sent you a picture earlier of Jake Hager, who had an MMA fight tonight, and he barely won it by split decision, and he has 2 black eyes, one almost swollen shut. He had cuts on his nose, a couple of cuts by his eye. I mean, he looked beat up, and his opponent didn't look much better. And one of the problems with wrestling is that when he goes into the wrestling ring, he's often has to work with guys that are 150 pounds, and they have offense against him that would not be believable. That does not come across as, yeah, I can see that happening. Whatever. It's great that this little guy can beat up this big guy. It doesn't work. But Peter Avalon, they set this match up right. I don't know who the agent or producer was for it, but they did it right. And newfound respect, maybe not, but certainly a good match from both of them.
I think we could agree on that. So that's gonna wrap it up, because I know it's getting late on the East Coast. I know it's getting late in Florida, and I know it's not that early in Texas either. So we're gonna wrap the show up. I want to thank everyone for being a part of the show. Woodland Goblin, Jason Newsom, Terry McDermott, Dave Scooby, All Japan Stan. If I missed you, I'm sorry. Everyone that's in here, I really appreciate you guys joining us week in and week out. Of course, Thursday nights, 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 o'clock Pacific. We're here to talk with you guys about Primetime Live and everything else that's happening in the NWA. And then I also want to say, hey guys, if you wouldn't mind, join us on Instagram tomorrow, Instagram Live with This Is the NWA podcast, where me and Will Martin do the hot tag. And of course, Tuesdays, the pre-party with J Cal. That's me. If you want to just hear me ramble for about an hour or so, that's a great time to do it. I know it's getting late. Kev, where can they find you on socials? What's your YouTube channel?
You can find me on Instagram at Kevin Lee Frazier. You can find my wrestling matches at Kevin Douglas 247. And you can find some of my ministry, fitness, inspirational speaking at Just Kevin 247. So those are my 2 YouTube channels. Different kinds of content, just depending on what you're looking for that day.
And DK, how about yourself, man? Where can the folks find you on the socials?
Hopefully not on them. No, seriously, my only one that deals with wrestling is my Twitter account. You'll get to find out what I think about wrestling, boxing, MMA, politics for the combat sports. You'll also see some of my things on the DC Universe, comics and movies and shows. So that's at DKMFWTX. Devin Kent Mercer, Fort Worth, Texas.
Hey.
And again, you can follow me at the Alliance blog. Make sure, if you enjoy this podcast, please give us a thumbs up and a follow, a like, share it with your friends. And that's going to do it for us, man. I just want to, again, thank everyone for joining us this week. It's been a busy week. But I want to remind you that through all the troubles that are going on throughout the day, remember, get positive, stay positive, and we'll see you guys at the matches.